once again and welcome to another edition of my Weekly Bond. This week we're going to be taking a look at the 23rd, the latest 007 adventure. A few months ago we reviewed it in sort of a capsule format after the first viewing, but since then I've had multiple viewings of the film, and you know, it's had time to sink in, and it's had time to fit into the overall 007 filmography, so now seemed like a really good time to review it in the same vein that all the other films were reviewed. So, with that in mind, let's jump right into the latest 007 adventure, Skyfall. And we open with a nice, new, shiny MGM logo. Surprised they could afford that at the time. And no gun barrel. I hate this film. Actually, no, it was a really cool opening shot, and it's a really cool image. I like the music as well. It's really mysterious and very nice, and oh, fine, I already forgive the film for not having a gun barrel. I'm already in love with it. The film opens with 007 in a building full of dead baddies and wounded MI6 agents.
I'm stabilizing Ronson.
We don't have the time.
I have to stop the bleeding.
Leave him.
Jeez, that's a bit harsh. Wow, someone's in a really bad mood this film. It's here that 007 hops in a jeep commandeered by Agent Eve, played by Naomi Harris. Eve and Bond share a bit of nice banter, and already I prefer the tone of the film to Quantum of Solace. They are chasing a mercenary called Patrice who has stolen a hard drive containing details of undercover MI6 agents around the globe, and obviously M would quite like that drive back. It's great to see Bond back in Istanbul, by the way. I know we've been there in a few Bond adventures now, but I really don't mind them doubling up this particular location because there's something so Bondy about it. As Bond and Eve chase Patrice, we're witness to some traditionally fabulous action with a bike chase along the roofs of Istanbul before Patrice escapes on a passing train, but that's not about to stop our dear James, is it? I've heard people complain about how Bond uses the bike to get on the train instead of just getting off the bike and jumping over the railing onto the train, but you know, the train was going at such a speed it would have gone if Bond had gotten off the bike and jumped. He needed to use the bike to get a good speed up so he could project himself onto the end of the train. Well, at least that's how I reason it. This whole chase sequence and how it escalates, by the way, is really quite something. It's one big action scene, and without a doubt Bond using the digger is my favourite thing in it. If you had any doubts that Skyfall would be anything but full of classic Bond moments, then surely this bit must put you at ease.
007, are you alright?
Just changing carriages.
Bond and Patrice end up fighting on top of the train. One of the twins shows up and, seeing Bond, knows that Bond has in fact killed his brother. Oh, no, wait, sorry, wrong film. Agent Eve takes aim in an attempt to take out Patrice before the train disappears into a tunnel.
Take the bloody shot!
Now, I know I complain a lot about how a lot of Connery's films start by showing the death of Bond or hinting at the death of Bond, but oh, you know, 10 minutes later he's not really dead. We got you there, didn't we? And, well, yeah, I really don't like how they do it in those films. It does feel like they're saying, oh, we got you there, didn't we? It feels like it's just a cheap gag, a cheap hook to get you interested. In Skyfall, however, I love it. I mean, obviously Bond isn't dead. There's still another 2 hours of movie to go, and as much as I love Judi Dench, I don't think she can carry a full Bond movie by herself. In Skyfall, killing Bond at the beginning makes thematic and symbolic sense, as this whole film is about the rebirth of Bond, even more so than Casino Royale in a way. Anyway, now we're into the opening titles, and I love, love, love Skyfall by Adele. It's an amazing song. I won't go into it much more than that because, well, I've already talked about it recently in my top 10 Bond songs video, so I'll move on and say that I also love, love, love that they got Daniel Kleinman back to do the credits, but these ones are far from being my favourites. They're okay, I just don't care for how overtly they reference things that happen later in the film. I'd rather it was more subtle, but hey, nothing can be quite as bad as the opening titles for Quantum. The film resumes after after the credits and we see M head over to see the new Intelligence and Security Committee chairman, Gareth Mallory, played by Ralph Fiennes. Mallory puts pressure on M to retire and she reluctantly accepts, just not in so many words. It's a pretty cool little scene, really. We've had 3 M's in this series to this point and we've never seen any of them phased out, so much as they just disappear and are never heard of again. So it's nice that at the beginning of this they kind of signal, yeah, this is going to be Dentures' last hurrah as M. M and Tanner are heading back to MI6 when the Secret Service servers are breached.
Get us back to base as soon as possible.
By the way, I, totally saw that scene being filmed one day in London as I was strolling, Judy and I, we, made eye contact. Yeah.
For God's sake! Just get out of the way! Don't you recognize the car?
Madam.
Stop! It isn't finished! Stop!
Oh, sorry, different film. It's here that we see that Bond isn't dead and, in fact, is using his supposed demise to basically retire, bonk nameless women by the beach, have staring competitions with scorpions, and drink Heineken. Yes, Bond takes a swig from a Heineken bottle in this film, and if that annoys you, well, get over it. Heineken is not about to become Bond's signature drink. He has a vodka martini later in the film, and context-wise, it makes sense for him to just have a bottle of beer here, and he's not in some swanky casino, he's in bed with some lass by the beach, and a bottle of beer suits his current rough state. Anyway, after seeing the news of the MI6 attack on CNN, Bond returns to London and we have a very good scene between him and M, which includes a few funny moments.
I'll find a hotel.
Well, you're bloody well not sleeping here.
Before Bond is shown to the relocated MI6 underground London. Wait a minute, I thought MI6 relocated to Scotland in times of crisis. Ah, well, I guess different timeline, different rules. Tanner exposits while Bond is subject to various physical and psychological examinations to make sure he's ready to go back in the field.
Just tell me the first word that pops into your head. Skyfall.
I'm not really sure that I like that particular mention of Skyfall. I mean, I don't mind Bond's homestead being called Skyfall. Fine, call it whatever you want and name the film, it's fine. But for Bond to have the reaction that he does have just to the word Skyfall, I don't know if I don't really buy that. I don't feel like he would have that reaction to just the place where he grew up, no matter how traumatic an experience he had when he was there. I mean, especially if he still owned the place before MI6 sold it on, I just don't buy it. The next day, Bond is reunited with Eve, and they act very jolly with one another to say she shot him and apparently killed him. Oh well, I don't know why I'm so surprised. I mean, she is under 40 and is a possessor of a vagina, so no wonder Bond forgives her so quickly. Bond slags off M's bulldog ornament, meets Mallory, and is cleared for field duty by M, even though he failed all the tests, but Mother knows best. I love how despaired Tanner looks when he finds out Bond actually failed the tests. Tanner has some great expressions in this film, by the way. He's just never happy, is he? An analysis of the shrapnel taken from a shoulder wound Bond suffered in Istanbul identifies Patrice, and he's found in Shanghai. Bond is sent off to recover the hard drive and kill Patrice, but not before he gets his equipment briefing from the new Q, played by Ben Whishaw. Now, I was super psyched when Whishaw was cast as Q. A load of idiots on the internet were complaining about how he's too young and whatever, but that's the point. See, the point is that he's very young. They even make a joke out of it in the film, and besides, why not have a young Q? It can lead to different situations and dynamics, offering a greater variety. Plus, Ben Whishaw is a great actor. Bond is equipped with a palm-reading PPK and a homing radio.
Not exactly Christmas, is it?
Were you expecting an exploding pen? We don't really go in for that anymore.
Why the hell not? It's not like it didn't give excellent results. Well, whatever, different timeline, different rules. Bond makes his way to Shanghai and finds Patrice at the airport while... I don't know why, but Daniel Craig just looks so silly in that hat. Anyway, he follows Patrice to a building where he kills a guy from across the way, and then we have an excellent fight sequence with him and Bond. falls to his death after revealing nothing, and Bond makes eyes with a mysterious woman across the way before finding a gambling chip for a casino, which leads him to Macau. But meanwhile, in London, M's clicking on things she really shouldn't be clicking, and Silva reveals the names of several undercover MI6 agents on YouTube. YouTube? What? Silva's on YouTube? I wonder how many subscribers he has. Back in Macau, Eve gives Bond a wee shave with a cutthroat razor before he... Wait, a cutthroat razor? Really? You mean we're not going to take this opportunity to plug a new Philips product? Well, that's fine by me. After the shave, Bond heads off to the casino. I really love this bit because it's just kinda setting the scene and the mood, and it's breathing space, right? Because just because this is an action film doesn't mean we can't have a minute or so to collect our breath and pause. Unlike a certain other Daniel Craig James Bond film. Wow, I'm so sorry, Quantum fans. I'm really taking a lot of swipes at it this review, aren't I? At the casino, Bond meets the mysterious woman from Shanghai, Severine, played by Berenice Marlowe.
I'm not very lucky.
A little like our friend in Shanghai.
The ash is really adding up on that cigarette. Could we get an ashtray over here, please? Bond, over a shaken not stirred martini, see he hasn't given it up for Heineken after all, asks to meet Severine's employer. She promises to take Bond to him so long as he promises to kill him, and warns Bond that her bodyguards are going to try and take him out first. We have a fun little fight scene with a nice reference to Live and Let Die.
It's the circle of life.
And The Lion King. Bond and Severine head to an abandoned island where they are taken prisoner, and Bond is delivered to the film's main villain, who has one of the friggin' coolest introductions of any Bond villain ever. His speech about rats eating each other is just one of the best speeches in a movie ever, and how it's delivered in a long shot, one take, with the villain in the far distance and walking closer and closer and closer to us, and Bond, when he delivers that last line.
No, they only eat rat.
Oh, I get chills. Yes, the film's main villain, Raoul Silva, played by Javier Bardem. Silva proceeds to interrogate Bond by touching him up a little.
Well, first time for everything. Yes.
What makes you think this is my first time?
Right, stop right there. I've heard a lot of people complain about this particular scene, especially on like the IMDb boards and that, because they say, oh, it makes Bond out to be gay or bi or something like that, which is just absolute bullshit. Bond is a master spy, right? And in this particular scene, he's sort of, it's akin to an interrogation. He's trying to remain cool and confident and, you know, calm. He's trying not to show... He doesn't want to break. I mean, he's got a horny Javier Bardem coming on to him. I mean, you know, he's just trying to remain in control. He doesn't want to look like he's cracking under the pressure of it. And, you know, what is he supposed to do? Like, when Silva's touching his legs and his neck, is he supposed to be like, dirty games, get away? You know, what kind of reaction do you want him to have if you're bothered by that scene? Just get the fuck over it. Silva takes Bond outside, where they do the William Tell game with a glass of whiskey on Severine's head. Bond's still recovering from injuries and misses the glass completely. Silva, meanwhile, shoots and hits Severine, killing her. You know, I really thought she'd hang around a little longer, really. Anyway, Bond kills Silva's men and uses his radio to bring in the MI6 helicopters, who take Silva back to the MI6 base. Right, yeah, come on people, let's get all of our Joker and Magneto comparisons out of the way. Anyway, so, you know, it turns out that Silva used to be an MI6 agent who was captured by enemy agents who tortured him, leaving him with a bad CGI disfigurement and a hateful resentment for the woman who gave him up, M. She and Tanner head off to her inquiry while Bond and Q attempt to decrypt Silva's laptop. However, as smart as Q is, Silva's laptop hacks the MI6 system, allowing him to escape. Bond gives chase through the underground network beneath London.
Where are you now?
Untitled Tube Station, along with half of London.
Welcome to Rush Hour on the Tube. Not something you'd know much about.
That's Rush Hour? Please try doubling the amount of people on that platform, then you might have something a little bit closer to Rush Hour. And you know something? Guess what? We actually have something called humour here. Do you remember that? Bond films used to have this thing, but it sort of vanished from the series about 10 years ago. But here it's back, and you know what? I laughed. I think these bits are really funny.
Open the door, please. Open the door.
Health and safety. Carry on.